Morning, gang. Friday morning. Oh, so excited. Never been this excited at 7:30 for a long time. We're going to have a little dress rehearsal first. I'm tempted to actually use today. Don't worry, the video is going to show it. But I'm tempted to use today just as a dress rehearsal and go through the motions with more caustic, water, check for leaks, pipes, just in an abundance of caution, just to make sure we got everything nailed before we commit ingredients to that mash tun. So I'm going to do that first. Came in last night and set this at 80 Celsius, and we are currently at 79.5 through the timer and the SDC 1000. The pump is still running. You might be able to hear it, I don't know. And if we have a quick peep under the lid, that's bowed up a bit as well. I'll have to tape that down again later. If you look under the lid, we got lots of steam, so we're absolutely, and actually it's ice cold on top and the sides, so it's actually keeping the heat in really well. The other thing I did was get this cooler working properly. I had some problems with the flow was really sluggish. I couldn't work it out, and then I realised I must have read something somewhere on the internet, or one of you lots told me, set it at -10. So I did. And the glycol's really sluggish at that speed. Probably the mix that I've used, combination of that and the temperature. So it doesn't need to be -10 as far as I can see. -3 should do it. They say set it to 3 degrees Celsius below your target volume temperature for crash cool. So -3 gives me 0, which is fine, I think. Whether it would be quicker at -10, possibly. But not if the glycol's not flowing. So in other news, Inkbird is up. The probe on this goes into the back of the fermenter. It's Wi-Fi. I can set it from home, so if I decide that the tilt hydrometer is telling me that the gravity is such that we need to start a crash cool, then I can do that without having to come in now, because it's Wi-Fi connected through the Tinternet. So that's a little. What's it going to say? Save me 10 minutes coming down, isn't it? But it's sod's law. I'll need to drop the temperature at some inconvenient time, so that's really going to help. Other thing was, I don't know if you remember this lid. It was just loose. It was loose. There was a gap around it. It's not quite flat with the top of the fermenter. And I just constructed quickly this, made from neoprene, this ring, and underneath there is a 12-inch duct clamp, bit like one of these Jubilee clips, but more massive. Come on, focus. There you go. A bit like one of those Jubilee clips, but really big. And it's tensioned at the back currently with a Irwin quick grip. Best invention ever. So that then gives us a really solid, a secure lid, which appears to be reasonably airtight. The other one's not so much of a problem because it weighs about 14 tons. It's really heavy. There's a rubber seal underneath it, and I can clamp it down with these screws. So bolts, I should say. And we need to test this. We need to test this steam condenser too, don't we? So I'm going to pop to Screwfix/Tool Station and get a couple more bits, because I'd also forgotten to make a holy bucket arrangement for that. So I'm going to go get those bits, come back. Then what we're going to do is transfer the recipe amount of water at 80. We're going to double check this temperature with a probe as well, separate probe. I actually still got water in the bottom of this, which is good, because I can check the temperature of this, which will give me the temperature of that vessel. We'll drain that off. We're going to put the water in at 80 at the right quantity for this particular recipe, and then we're going to measure the temperature drop through the absorption of the heat into this mash tun. And then we'll know how much we need to build into the overhead for the mash tun temperature. I think 80 might be a little bit high, particularly in the summer. But that's what the previous guy was using, although they were warming the water in that and transferring it around and things, so don't know. Work that out in a minute. Okie dokes, back from Wix. First little problem. I've nicked the wires somehow on that thing, and it's pumping, but it's not registering, so I need to replace it. Fortunately, I put some markings on the tank yesterday. We started with 450. I'm trying to put 200 in. So I've just quickly worked out the 250 mark is there. I'll mark it up later. In fact, we're approaching that now. And I'll stop the pump when we get there. That's 200 litres exactly. And we can check some temperatures then. Water's in. I'm glad I'm doing this dress rehearsal, actually. Anyway, water went in at 18. We've lost maybe 5 degrees. I'll give it another 5 minutes or so just to fully absorb into the ton, and then we'll take a look. And from that, I can make an adjustment to that 80 down to whatever we need with the grain weight and volume that we're going to put in it, which I can work out using Brewfather probably. And I've got a little leak. I don't know where that's coming from. There's no water in that, and it's not coming from here, which means it must be coming from the contraption. But there's no water. It's isolated. Maybe it was last night when I was filling the tank. I bet there's a little drip. Okay, I'll put another isolator somewhere. It's not a lot, but it's there. Another good reason for the dress rehearsal. Just stuck my head in the fermenter, and it was a bit yeasty. Some residue on the sides. So we're blasting it. There's a caustic solution in there at the moment. Good morning. It's D-Day. Oh, terrifying. So I came in yesterday and did a bit of what you call a dress rehearsal, and I'm glad I did because I found a few things that would have really stopped the show yesterday. Number one, the fancy schmancy flow meter that allows me to measure the water transfer from the HLT failed immediately as soon as I started it. It's been working. I've tested it. I moved some pipe work around. I'm guessing I've snapped a wire somewhere or something. So I've ordered a replacement. It's coming by Amazon on Prime. Should be here before 1. It's currently 7 a.m. So fingers crossed Amazon don't let me down. I daren't check the tracking. If not, we're just gonna have to eyeball it, I guess, which I'm not happy with. I don't really. I'll have to work it out. It's possible, but I'm trying to be precise, really, for repeatability next time, so that we can make sure that if the recipe's a good one and it's a success, then we can make it exactly the same next time. And eyeballing is not a great idea. So that was the first problem. Second problem, this plate heat exchanger. It's had probably 7, 8, maybe 10 hours of a strong caustic solution running through it both directions, hammering it to shake any residue loose. And there's a very faint, and it is faint, but it's there, I can smell it, a very faint kind of odour once the water's been through it. I'm not happy with it. It needs to be perfect. It's got to be 100%. So it might delay me. Today's going to be a long day, I suspect. I'm taking that off the wall before I do anything. I'm going to strip it down. If I break it, then we're kind of snookered. I'm going to need to order a gasket set, assuming that's the weak point, which I guess is going to take a couple of days with Easter, but fingers crossed, we'll be okay. I'm going to be very gentle with it. Thirdly, fermenter 1, which is all set up now with the cooling. I had a really close look inside it with a camera and a torch into all the nooks and crannies, and I found a what's called beer stone ring around it. It's a deposit that's formed through the chemical process, basically calcium oxalate, which weirdly is exactly the same as my kidney stones that I had about 5-6 years ago. It will not shift, and because it's a kind of rough surface, it harbours germs and bacteria potentially. I doubt it does at the moment because that's also been nuked, but I'm not comfortable with it. So one of two things: we can try and get that off before we transfer the work to it, or switch over to fermenter 2, which I wasn't planning to do, and it's not set up for the cooling yet. So it might mean transferring the cooling pipes over to that fermenter, and we'll use the second one. The guys at Hush over at Northwich, who I've been chatting to through this process, they're similar to us but a little bit further down the road. They've offered me some nitrocid, it's like nitric acid, which is apparently good to shift that beer stone. Taking advice last night from Harry, Martin Bailey, and that's the way to do it, I think. So we're going to have a crack at that. So first things first, get that exchanger off the wall, strip it down, and then at 9 a.m. I'm heading over to Northwich to meet Chris from Hush to pick up that nitrocid, and then back to crack on with the day. So hopefully I'll remember to video some things. Right, off the wall, bit of splashing around going on, but I think it holds about 2 litres of water, this thing. Right, first things first, before I do anything, I'm going to measure the gaps, because when we tighten it back up, it's really important that these, I'm going to measure it in a few places, both sides. It's really important that we squeeze the plates, the end plates back together to exactly the same dimensions, because the gaskets will have formed to that particular width. So I'm going to do that. Right, I'm just doing these plates one at a time as carefully as I can. Taking them off, cleaning them, flipping them over, putting them on the stack the other side. You'll see if you can see that or not. Try a good bit. There you go. See all this gunk? It's like leaf hops. I'm amazed it's not come out because they're not big. And seeds. So rinsing it all off so there's nothing in it whatsoever, and then we'll give it another blast of caustic. It's just coming up to 9. No, it's not. It's just coming up to 8:30. So I'm gonna have to set off up to Northwich in a minute, but I'm happy. We'll as long as this thing goes back together okay, we can definitely get a brew on. Right, we're back from our travels. I've now got nitrocid, thanks to the guys at Hush, much appreciated. I've also popped home because Amazon have delivered the flow sensor. I'm not going to mess about with that yet. I want to get this finished, so I'm just going to continue to strip it down. Just taking the plates out, washing them, putting them back, and then hopefully it won't leak. I can smell that smell again. I can smell it now. Right, let's crack on. So this might explain a few things. This one, as I'm getting towards the last 4 or 5 plates now, they're getting dirtier. And this one, a lot of hop gunk. Doesn't smell too great either. So you can see where that's been jamming up this particular plate. Right, all clean. Just getting it back together. Checking all the little rubber tabs are in place. I didn't mark them, which may prove to be a mistake later, but I've kept them in a stack the same way out like that, see, flapping. There's a hooker back on again. Just holds them in the channel a bit better. You know you've got it wrong when this honeycomb matrix goes out of pattern. It's 1:45. I've finished all my messing about now. Everything's working perfectly. So, meter works. I've reinstalled the solenoid valve. Water was, because of the weight of the water in there, now it's full, and water was continuing to push through the pump. So even though it had stopped pumping, it was still filling. So I've put that on as well now. Heat exchanger, sparkling fresh inside, done. And I've got some nitric acid, but I'm probably going to use a second fermenter. We'll have a look at that while we're mashing, and I've got a bit of time. So I'm going to make a start. One thing I need is better scales. I guess I'm going to learn a lot as I go along. I didn't weigh anything in the dress rehearsal, did I? So keep finding things to do. Right, so malts are in, dry. I'm going to fill with this in a second. I've just realised, schoolboy error, need to mash in at about 70, 71. My HLT is at 80, so I need to, I might do, you know, because it did absorb 10 degrees yesterday, and it's easier to make it cooler than it is warmer. I think I'm just going to go for it. I checked my notes from yesterday. Where's my notepad? What happened yesterday? The mash tun was 9.9. The HLT was 80, as it is now. After transfer, we were at 75.2. So we lost. What did we lose? We lost 5 degrees. So if I want 65, how much you got the green as well? I'm going to go work that out. $204.83 and on. I'm going to need a bigger spoon. Time for a Scottish egg. I wasn't even sure I thought about that. I bought this food grade shovel for digging out. It's food. It is a food shovel. I might have to do. Start the clock. Right, minor hiccup, but we're over it. It was way too hot. I was up at, once it was mashed in and had a good stir, settled for a few minutes. We were up in the high 60s, 68, 69, 70 I saw on one reading. So I've added a little cold just to drop that temperature down. And we're bang on 66 now, so I'm happy with that. So lid's on, just going to sit there and do its thing. That should allow me to work out where I need to set that mash HLT, sorry. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? So I've got to set the HLT temperature based on the weather temperature prediction for the day that I'm going to brew. And I think today we should have been 72 in the tank to get 65 in the mash, and we were, well, originally we were 80, dropped it to 77, mashed in, and we were high. So 73 would have done it probably today. I'll work it out in a minute. Either way, mashed in. Just had a minute to tidy up. Going to tidy these wires up now while we wait. I've just been reading some messages as well. Thanks everybody who's sent us their best wishes. I've just had one from Gash from the Homebrew Network asking me if we're in the middle of it, which we are. So it's all a bit chaotic. Well, it doesn't look like it now, does it? But this morning's been a nightmare. We're gonna have a Welsh cake. Shit, I didn't time it. That's fucking wrong. Can't possibly be 10. This fucking thing. Tap water. pH of 10. I think we'd all be dead around here. Well, that's a good start. Come on, you fucker. Better. Water 7.4. Wort. It's a bit warm still. Go on, when you're ready. That'll do. 5:46, 7 we've settled at. It's good enough. We are nearing the end of the mash. Maintains its temperature really well. 64, 65. Just put a little probe in. It's only one spot, of course, but quite happy with that. Did a little gravity check about, where are we now? It's 3:42 now. We did a little gravity check about 20 minutes ago. I was at 10:42. Obviously, we need to sparge yet as well, so again, all learning process as we go along. Let's see where we are in another 5 or 6 minutes when we're ready to hopefully transfer out into the kettle. Additionally, I've got that nitric acid in solution now circulating through a clean in place nozzle ball that's spinning round. I'm still quite nervous about this because I made it, but they're pretty secure. There's lots of brass bits as well, which is not smart for certain types of product, but it'll have to do for now. And it's giving it some in there, hopefully dissolving that beer stone. Fingers crossed. 10:49. So we've been mashing for about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. We've got 10:49 currently. Obviously I've got a sparge next. It's already set with 188 litres ish, which is going to reduce that 10:49 down hopefully to 10:40. I'll do that calculation in a minute as well, and 10:40 into the boil with a 10:42 finish, which doesn't sound like much of a rising gravity, but hey, that's what Brewfather says, so I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to start the transfer shortly. I'm just going to double check those numbers. If they look okay, we'll connect the pipework up and start moving over to the copper. Okay, I think we're done. It's an hour and a half, 30 minutes longer than expected, but we're up at 10:58, and I've still not been able to do the maths, if I'm honest. I've been full volume mash brewing for so long. I can't remember how to do the calculation, what my gravity should be before I sparge with 180 litres of water minus the grain. To be honest, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm following this recipe with the help of the Brewfather tools, so just wanted to show you it's lovely and clear. All I'm doing at the moment, just because I wanted to check the sort of the murkiness and the amount of bits, and there are no bits at all. The grain bed's doing a great job. The pump's on very slowly. There's no sign of it sort of sticking yet. So it's just basically pumping back into itself for 5 or 10 minutes or so. So I'm quite happy with that. Next I'm going to just move that end over to the input of the kettle, start the sparge, and I'll keep checking the gravity obviously as we go along, but hopefully we'll get 188 litres in and we should be at 10:40. Fingers crossed. Right, transferring. I just stopped it. The spar job's not spinning very well, and I'm wondering whether once it's hot, it's expanded a little bit and just not quite so spinning quite so freely. So I need to rethink that. I need to be transferring about 15 litres a minute to make it move. It was only about 5 litres a minute when it was cold. So I'll have a look at that. It doesn't. I don't mind so much as long as it's even if I have to stand and spin it this time, it's okay. But it's nice and clear going into the kettle. We're currently just above the heating elements. What time is it? 4:42. Said it would be a long one. I wish you could smell this. It's amazing. Amazing. Oh yeah, hit 800 subscribers today. Weird thing happened as well when I was with Chris from Hush, picking up that nitric acid. A guy called John, hello John if you're watching, a guy called John just appeared on the car park to tell me and Chris actually how much he enjoyed our journeys, and he's obviously watching Hush on their Facebook channel and watching us here on YouTube. That's the first time that's happened actually. Someone coming up to me completely unknown and recognising me because of this thing. It's a bit weird for only 800 people. It's, you know, the few and far between, but I kind of enjoyed it. It was a bit weird. But John's a home brewer too, and nearing retirement and starting to think about his options. So I've invited him down anytime to come and have a look, come and play on the gear, get his head around it if he wants to have a go. It's not hard, I did it. And my wife bought me coffee before. And it's still hot. Oh. I wish I had a fridge and some beer in here. We should do that. So the kettle is at the let me think about it now. Wait 1 minute. 4. So the level in the kettle is at the 4 firkin mark, so 160 litres. So halfway there. Let me show you. Hopefully not too steamy in there. I don't know if that's too fast, too slow. I'm winging it, as you know, like everything. Spin, you bugger. We're waiting for this to tick up to 188, and that's the volume. I'm tempted to keep checking the gravity and stop it early and all that, but I think it's more important to understand the kit than to hit the numbers precisely. Next time, with the benefit of knowing that we stuck exactly to the volumes and what we got, is really going to help with optimising the recipes for this equipment. He says, hopefully. Okay, something else I just noticed is this spar arm doesn't touch the centre. So, I mean, the water will soak through a bit, I guess, but it'll be nice to have a bit more coverage in the the centre 12 inches, I think. You can see where it's basically dry in the middle. You can see that top, I don't know if you can see it right at the back in the centre, there's a little graduations mark right in the middle of the shop. That's the 7 firkin mark. No litres on this kit. And that's what I'm aiming for. I'm currently, the work is currently about 10:42, and I've got runnings going in at 10:12. I'm wondering if that might just work out bang on. We'll have a look in a minute. So somewhere I've lost my little microphone. It's not that little, but I've lost it. What the hell is that? Anyway, if it turns up in someone's pint, I apologise. Just on the clean up now, I've not touched the mash tun yet. I'll dig that out in a bit. But I wanted to get this fermenter sorted, so it's had that nitric acid treatment, which has certainly improved it. There's still signs of that beer scale, so beer stone, I should say. So I'll have another go at that, but I'm going to go with it. I've got to use it. I need to brew every week, so I'm going to go with it. But it's perfectly clean. In fact, I'll give you a little look. Lovely. It's a bit dinged here and there, but it was there, like a line down and then a ring around the bottom, which is very, very faint now. So that's been causticed, nitricked, persided, and is now ready to receive the contents of that once this boil decides to start or finish. I just checked the temperature a minute ago. I won't keep opening the lid. Oh, go on, I'll open the lid, I'll show you. I just opened the lid a minute ago, did a temperature check. So we got a nice foamy top there. And we were at 90 degrees, so... And it's actually, the whole thing's humming. It's like a 50 hertz hum. It's very weird. Probably my wiring. Anyway, we'll get that boiled, get the hops in, transfer, chill, fermenter, go home. In the meantime, I'm gonna start digging. Okie dokie, so we transferred, it's done. We ended up in the copper a bit short, but a bit ahead of target. So we were 10:42 with what looked like half a firkin, 20 litres to go. I didn't want to sparge anymore because the runnings had dropped to about 10:10. So I opted to replace the missing volume with water from the HLT. So we are now bang on the 7 firkin line with 10:40. So exactly where we needed to be. There's always a way, lads, always a way. You can always pull it back. Right, on with the boil. Oh, found my microphone. Hang on. That's better. No one's going to choke on it then. So I just realised I hadn't recorded anything from it. We're boiling, as you can see. Oh, I haven't put my water jet thingy bob on. Hang on. I realise I've not said much about the recipe. The basic recipe is a homebrew recipe that I've done a bazillion times before. There's nothing particularly unusual about it. The majority is pale or extra pale. I'm using crisp, clear choice, which I've used quite a few times in the past, and we get a good deal on it. So extra pale. There's about 8 or 9% wheat, a bit of Cara 30, really just for colour, and also I've put a bit of Maris Otter in as well. just because I add it, and it just adds a nice little note to the flavour. Hops, the smell coming off I can smell it from here. They're incredible. Talus and Citra, 2 winners, and together a really nice combo, I think. I first tried Talus when I had Wild IPA from the Wild Beer Company. Absolutely smashing. It's fantastic. So give that one a whirl if you see it anywhere. It's very nice. This won't be quite like theirs. So not super mad hoppy. Taking feedback from the pubs who I'm going to be providing this first batch to, and nothing too bitter, nothing too over the top. And it's a good way to get the brand out with something that everybody's going to enjoy rather than just seasoned beer aficionados. I'm stood like a metre away from this bag, and the smell, wow, amazing. Right, I've got to get them weighed because they've got to go in about 10 minutes. Okay, hops are ready. One's in. I'm cheating a bit because I do not know if that little U pipe is too low, too high. I can't risk clogging the pump again, clogging the heat exchanger again. It was a pain in the arse to take apart, so I've bagged them. I'm going to lose some utilisation, I guess, but that's okay. So we've got one in there. Turn that heat up a bit. 75%. Yeah. So put them in these bags, and that's the 10-minute edition, and that's the hop stand. Doesn't have to be perfect, does it? It's just got to be good. We'll see what that does. I can't tell you the smell in here now. Oh yeah, the steam thing works, by the way. Thank you, Harry. You saved me having to deal with Cheshire East Council again. There's virtually nothing coming out of it. It was a raging boil before. The windows aren't steamed up. That's condensation inside the windows themselves. But look, that's a full boil, and I'm losing a little bit of water. Oh shit! That should be over there. That's not good. There you go. That's how much water it's using. Pretty good, eh? Something else I do at home, I can't do here, is when I'm brewing, I'll say stuff like, Alexa, remind me 10 minutes, hops. Sorry if your Alexa just went nuts. And she does. She keeps me organised. Can't do it here. I've asked Siri to do it. Whether it will or not, I don't know. 7:32, next hop edition. What are we? 7:26. I told you it was going to be a long day, didn't I? I don't like the sound of that. That's roaring. I think we stick with 50% when we're boiling. Seems to be enough. Wow, yeah, that's good enough. 50%. Yeah. Some things I'm learning. One, I need spoons. I was weighing out with my water additions. No spoons. Got scales, no spoons. I had to weigh them out with some lid off something. 2, I've got these rubber gloves, the old veterinary gloves, which I've been using when I've been messing with the nitric acid and caustic and whatnot, along with this daft face guard, because it did splash me in the face at one point. I'm glad I had that on. But they're not. They transmit heat really easily, so I need some proper like heat-proof welding gloves or something. Waterproof too. I need waterproof socks, My feet are wet again. Remember them Veruca socks? If you're of a certain age, when you were a kid, at the swimming baths. I need some of them to keep my feet dry. Yeah, and patience, and start early. I started this at 1, didn't I? By the time I was back from picking stuff up and getting started, I think it was 1. It's 7:28 now. We've not even... Well, we're still boiling, aren't we, for another half an hour. It's going to be a late one. Not boiling for an hour, but boiling for another 10 minutes, then hop stand for 30 minutes, then we can transfer. And I still haven't dug that out. But I might start that once the hop stand begins. I'm too busy looking at stuff and sniffing the air. Marvellous. So, having kept the hops out of free circulation, I'm now recirculating through the cooler and back in an attempt to get myself down to 77. I can't operate my thermometer with one hand, so I'm going to come back to you. Guess who forgot to put the Protaflock in? Never mind. Who likes clear beer anyway? It is now 7:55, and I've had to put the light on. Put the big light on. It's going dark. However, we have now dropped our temp to it's going up a bit. I think it's just because it's high up now. 78. There you go. That'll do. That's under 80. So we will add the big dose. Oh, we got hold of it. Yeah. There she goes. Bon voyage. So, progress, more progress. It's late now. I don't know what time it is, but it's got dark. We're transferring pump, plate exchanger in. Currently, fermenter temperature 18.3, 19. The probe's not quite in the work yet, but that'll correct itself in a second. I can decide whether to speed it up or slow it down. Everything's all nicely sanitized. We're kind of ready to go there now. So 10:42, I said 10:42, and we have just have that a little float around. Bum, 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 bum. 41. Ooh, 2. Ooh, 1. Where's it gonna settle? Are they twos? These things are weird. Oh no, they're 45. 1, 42, 3. I can't read these. 40. Is it the big graduations is 1 and the little ones is half? Right, 41, 42, 43. Why does that say 45 there? Where's 45 then? 40, oh, I can see. Okay, I got it now. Being a dick. Oh! Right. I've got to stand here and hold it. Okay, so now the thermo well's immersed. We're up at 22, so I really need to slow this pump down a little bit more, I think. If you slow the pump, it comes out a bit colder. I've not got enough hands. I've got to hold this because I've got no bloody clamp or nothing to hold it with. Big graduation and one little one. What do they mean? 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 41. Yeah, 41 and a half. Oh, transfer's finished. I'm back. It hadn't finished. I thought, I was a bit worried because it's a bit low. We should be at least to that top line and hopefully just above it. No, one of the hop bags had broken free. I'm glad it didn't do that in the boil, and it was sat on top of the drain hole. So I've winched them up a bit now. They're dripping nicely. Get the last bit of hoppy goodness out. Temperature's still 25 though. My oh my, what a day. It is 10:30, I think. Oh, 22. It is 22:08 Saturday night. I've been at it since 6:30 this morning. Oh, they're right when they said this brewing isn't easy. Jeez. Anyway, loads of little things I need to think about. The number of times that HLT overflowed when I was pumping out the hot water back into it. I need some sort of ball cock and a flashing beacon on the top or something. That was a learn. It's all right though. I mean, it's cleaned the floor for us. Secondly, there was always that kid at school whose mum stitched his mittens to the inside of his coat sleeves, and so they would hang down. He couldn't lose them. That's what I need to do with those RJT tools, because they're never where you left them last. They move around. I want them stitching into my Four Priest t-shirts. Don't get too ambitious with the transfer from the copper into the fermenter, because you'll end up with 24 degrees instead of 19. That was entirely on me. I was tired and I'd had enough. So don't forget to put your Protaflock in. We'll be alright. I'll just say it was intentionally slightly hazy. Job done. We've tied it up. I've dug out the mash tun. All the grains in the car now in two or three big plastic tubs, ready for our local farmer to collect, or whatever, however he wants to do it. The only thing I haven't done, and I can't do anymore now, I'm absolutely destroyed, is I haven't cleaned the copper. So I've closed the lid. The hot bags are still hanging in there. The pump's still a bit mucky, although it's been drained. So I'm going to come back in the morning, clean that. And that sink full of pipes and RJT fittings over there needs a good clean and soak. I haven't pitched the yeast, and I know there's nothing wrong with it, and it's all sterile. The lid's on, the airlock's on. Got to blow off into sanitizer bucket beneath, so it's all good. But I just kind of like pitching the yeast straight away, so that's annoyed me a little bit. While we've been here, it's dropped a couple of degrees. The poor little Maxi 210's giving it some under there, so I'm fighting with it. I mean, it was -3 when we started. We're at 11 now, but it's at least still 10 degrees below to where we need to be, so it will cool it down. So I'm going to come back in the morning, clean that, pitch the yeast. I've got all my records and notes from the day, so I need to dissect that. I had mad efficiency, and I don't know why. No idea, actually. No idea. Temperature was bang on. I mashed a little bit longer, but you wouldn't expect, that sort of efficiency. However, the water absorption from the grain was quite a bit higher. It's quite wet, the grain. It was quite a bit higher than I'd expected, so I didn't get as much transfer to the copper. But as the efficiency was so high, I could add some water and still remain bang on target. So lucky, good planning, don't know, but it worked. So we're done. Hope you enjoy this video. I know it's not your sort of typical brew day, lots of little problems and challenges going on, but hey, it was the first one, so thanks for watching it. I really appreciate it. talk to you soon.